Welcome to Back Porch Pilgrimage, Episode 16. Thank you for joining me on the journey. By this time last year, I was only 2 days away from setting foot into the great plaza facing the cathedral in Santiago. I had, for the most part, been walking alone since leaving from León after my rest day. And for whatever reason, in spite of the noticeable increase in the number of pilgrims on the Camino and in the albergues since Sarria, I was often walking for hours on end without even seeing another living soul. Practicing solitude has never come easily for me, but here I was, all alone, in an unfamiliar country, walking on a trail I'd never seen before, trudging toward another town I'd likely never see again. Even though by this point in the journey, I was literally taking everything in stride, I found myself feeling unsettled. I was right on schedule, actually a day ahead of schedule. I was feeling pretty good physically. The trail was plenty agreeable as it was fairly flat. The daily temperatures were still more like spring than summer. I was enjoying the scenery. And still, I was unsettled. I began to wonder if I had learned the lessons I needed to learn. I worried that I had not had any big enough ahas. What if I've done all of this walking and nothing really changes within me? What if the insights I did have didn't make their way into practice upon my return to the real world? What if I'd missed something important? Honestly, living inside my head isn't any fun at all. And then, all of a sudden, a line from one of the Eucharistic prayers in the Episcopal Book of Common Prayer just popped into my head. Open our eyes to see your work in the world about us. I literally stopped dead in my tracks. I was so taken by surprise. I stepped over to the side of the trail, leaned up against a tree, and just stood there for a few minutes. Open our eyes to see your work in the world about us. I said the words out loud to no one in particular. Then I performed a little on-the-spot editing to personalize the prayer. Open my eyes to see your work in the world around me. And then one more edit. Give me eyes to see your work within me. Over the last year, my daily prayers have tended toward reflecting on one or the other of these three lines. Across the millennia, Christians have in various ways affirmed that God is at work in the world, even when we've not always been successful in articulating just how such work is happening. These three prayers have helped me to remember over and over that I don't need to know the how. I simply need God's grace to help me catch a glimpse of the glory that shimmers in plain sight in the most unexpected of places. The challenge is always my limited perception. Today, May 26, 2020, things look much different around me than they did a year ago. I'm beginning the 11th week of limiting my social interactions. I still don't really know where the path we're collectively walking will lead. I'll admit to being cranky about canceled summer plans. I'm worried about plenty of things over which I have no control. There is no map. And even though there are literally millions and millions of people walking this path with me, I feel fairly alone. Maybe you do too. After I had my moment by the side of the trail, I set out on the way again. For the next couple of hours, I felt like I was seeing more vivid colors and sharper contrasts in the landscape. My internal chatter settled just a bit. I stopped calculating the estimated time of arrival to my destination. I was putting one foot in front of the other, and I was catching glimpses of God's presence all around me. I wish there was more certainty about what's next as we travel together through this pandemic. I wish I could see how all these complicated and tragic circumstances will be resolved. But what I learned during last year's walk still fills me with hopefulness and confidence. I don't need to see everything. I just need to be open to whatever God might show me. Keep the faith, fellow pilgrims. Keep walking in faith. Keep your eyes open. You never know what you might see.